Hi everyone, and welcome to this instructional video for the new game on the block, 4 Dice Pro Wrestling. What we're going to attempt to do today is give you kind of a flow for the game itself and show you a bit of the instructions needed for playing 4 Dice Pro Wrestling. This is part of the Scorecard Sports Gaming family. This can be played as a standalone move-by-move simulated wrestling game, or can be played in conjunction with similar ratings from other quick play or advanced wrestling games. So what is 4 Dice Pro Wrestling? It is a game that you can play with one player solo on a table, or you can play it with someone, because this is a game that does involve some strategy. Each wrestler is rated in various categories, and we'll get to that in a moment. But more importantly, these wrestlers also have power surge stars. These surge stars can be used in a match in a number of different ways. It can be used offensively, and it could be used defensively to counter moves, counter attacks, counter pin, and submission moves. So that's what makes the game interesting and fun. Because with 4 Dice Pro Wrestling, it's all about two things: momentum and, of course, the ratings of the wrestlers. Obviously, we're dealing with pro wrestlers, former superstars, dating all the way back in time. So you've got superstars and average stars and jobbers from yesteryear, way back in the 30s and beyond, clear through the golden age of wrestling in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to today. So, unlike some other games you'll see, you're going to see wrestlers in 4 Dice Pro Wrestling that you would never see in another wrestling game. Why? Because we want to make this more than just a game that you roll dice to. We want to make this an event. The game is set up and designed like a sporting game that you would play like baseball, football, basketball, or whatever. There are score sheets involved, and you treat it as a match, like a fight, like a boxing match. So it gives you that thrill, and that gives you that excitement of actually not only being there, but seeing the event unfold before your very eyes. So it's not just about sports entertainment. So let's get to it. So again, these are the instructions, and again, this is the opening page of your instruction sheet for those of you who have the game or are about to look into the game. And it's very simple. It's 14 pages of instructions. Very, very easy to follow. It explains the different ratings and what they mean. There's tag teams, obviously, and how to roll for tag teams. There's finishers. Each wrestler will be equipped with 2 finishers. Not all wrestlers have done that, but each one will be equipped with 2 finishers that they can use in a match. There's the power surge stars that we talked about, and all the way down to a fan push rating. Yes, the fan importance is important to 4 Dice Wrestling because the random events and storylines come off of it. Yes, each wrestler is rated for a fan push, both good and bad. Are they liked? Are they hated? And how does the crowd respond? Obviously, to a jobber, they're not going to respond, so the ratings aren't going to be good. But to those who are superstars, good and bad, they're going to have high fan ratings. So let's get to it. Let's explain each thing. And again, I know this is taking us not as smooth as you would normally see, because I'm trying to do this all on a computer to make it rather simple. But we're going to have a match. The match that we're going to have is MAD DOG BUZZ SAWYER against Abyss. You know those wrestlers from the 80s and 90s. Obviously, MAD DOG BUZZ SAWYER is going to be a fan favorite or face. Abyss in this match will be a heel. Okay, those ratings that you're looking at right here really mean nothing. But let's get to them and show you exactly what they mean. So, on your wrestling roster sheet that comes with the game, there are 100 rated wrestlers to start. Each month we will be offering a new series of wrestlers on a wrestling roster sheet of a new batch of 60 wrestlers, both old, new, even fantasy wrestlers. We're even going to have celebrities, celebrity movie stars, celebrity TV stars, characters, and such that we're going to introduce to the game that you can wrestle against anybody that's in the game. So we've got two wrestlers that's going to go against each other here, Abyss and Buzz Sawyer. So let's look at the abbreviations so you understand each rating. Obviously, this is their rating. Abyss is a 33, Buzz Sawyer is a 30. Now, wrestlers are rated in 4-dice wrestling from the high teens, which are usually jobbers, to wrestlers into their 40s, which are superstars who won world titles. So that's the general wrestling grade that we give each and every grappler. And that rating that they have actually turns in their stamina rating for the matches. So the ratings are such. So Abyss, a slight advantage over Buzz Sawyer here. The CR meaning, that is their control rating. And those control ratings can rate from a -1 to a low jobber to a 3 for a superstar. And that is what you're going to see when the wrestlers go against each other initially for control. Who gets the higher control? Obviously is the one that gets the moves, that gets to make the action moves. The action moves are needed, obviously, to wear down their opponent and then go for the pin or submission attempt. So in this case, both of their control ratings are 2. So you're going to add 2 to the dice roll. Here is the STT roll. What does that mean? That is simply what we're talking about. That is your power surge stars. Your power surge stars. If singles competition, Abyss and Buzz Sawyer are both 3s. Here, as a tag team, Abyss is still a 3. Buzz Sawyer would have 2 stars. Okay? And we'll explain that later. This T rating, this is their tag team rating. All right? So if they're in tag team competition, Abyss is not a 33. He is a 23, and he would be added to, in let's say Buzz Sawyer was his partner, he would be a 23. So you would base your stamina rating off of that. All right? We'll get to that later. This fan rating, this is that fan popularity rating, the fan push. Right now, Abyss is a 7, Buzz Sawyer is an 8. You're going to add that to the base. When these guys go against each other, we'll show you that plays into whether there's a pre-match or a post-match event that could change the dynamics, not only the fight, but what it could do is it could actually create the storyline. The cut rating, Abyss is a 5, Buzz Sawyer is a 4. What does that mean? Well, again, that's just the number you roll. Normally it wouldn't mean anything, but in 4-dice wrestling, it could mean something, because after a 3rd cut, if a wrestler is cut or it reopens or it continues to bleed, the referee can stop the match. The match is over, just like in boxing. The referee would award the victory to the other fighter, the fighter who's not injured. The pin submission attempt, people have asked questions about this. This is the number you need, because this is the number here that determines on a die roll, a 1 to 10 die roll, what happens in the match. Is there a pin or not? In this case, we have Abyss. He has a 7.5 rating. So what does that mean? That means if Abyss on the first attempt, Buzz Sawyer gets him down for a pin, he has to roll the 10-sided die. If it comes up 1 to 7, it's a safe. He kicks out. If it's 8 to 10, he loses. Referee counts 1, 2, 3. It's over. But wait a minute. Abyss has a comeback attempt. That's what the 0.5 is. That means that Abyss gets another crack at it. It's 2.5. He gets one more shot to kick out of it. And he can by rolling the die again, and the number would be a little bit smaller to get, and then he can either kick out of it or lose the match, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. There's their finishers, as we talked to you about before. Each wrestler gets 2 finishers, although a lot of the old-time wrestlers only had 1 finisher, but these finishers could come into play. Obviously, Abyss has the shock treatment and the black hole slam. Buzz Sawyer has the power slam and the belly suplex. And what do these ratings mean here? No one quite understands them. I know because they're abbreviated, but once you do, you'll see. This means this is what their stamina rating is in a 10-minute match, a 20-minute match, 30-minute match, and the no time limit is where their full rating comes into play. So we're going to have a 10-minute match between Abyss and Buzz Sawyer, and the rating is going to be an 8, their stamina. That's not too much. That's not too high of a rating. That's a few moves. But when you see it in the light, it's a lot longer than you think. So there's the ratings. That's how the rating system works for all wrestlers. And that's what you're going to see on your wrestling roster sheets. So now let's go to the match. Let's go ahead and move it on over. We've got Buzz Sawyer here. Abyss is here. Their fan rating is an 8 and a 7. Now, we rolled before the match, okay? So what we did is the base rating is a 20. So you're going to roll 2 10-sided die. And I'm sorry I don't have the virtual dice to show you, but 1 to 20 is the base rating. You add these 2 fan numbers to it, so it's going to make it 1 to 35 for there to be an action. And in this case, there was a 35. So we did have a pre-match event. So we got a pre-match event. Let's show you the chart. Here it is, pre-match event storyliner chart. And in this case, we rolled a 12. 12 says, heel interview stirs up the crowd. So Abyss was interviewed before the match, stirs up the crowd, adds to his fuel for the match. He adds 1 to his rating, and there's 1 to his fan push rating. Now that fan push rating, that'll stay with him. So Abyss just picked up a point. We'll get to all this after this. So let's go back to our rating here. So Abyss, if you look at it, Abyss had a fan rating of 7. It'll become an 8, but it comes into play there. So we'll get to that in a moment. We mark it down here. Abyss interview stirs up crowd. On your score sheet, there's the notes and what happens. Okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself for you guys. I don't want to steal your thunder, but here's how the match goes. So you put all the ratings on this and you'll get a sheet, a score sheet that looks just like this. We have them set up for the 10, 20, 30, and no time limit matches. Okay, each move is representing 30 seconds. So we just mark down our ratings as we do here. Okay, and then we're ready to go. So we saw both had 8 for their initial stamina, and both wrestlers chose to use 1 of their power surge points. They each have 3 because power surge works in 4 different ways. First, before the match, you can add to your stamina rating. You can add 5 points. And of course, both wrestlers felt they needed the points, so they went ahead and took the points. All right. So you can add 5 points if you so choose. Now, if there is a 2 count and there's a chance you're going to lose the match, and you do lose the match, you can use a star surge and you can try to kick out. That gives you a chance to re-roll, almost like that comeback I told you about. It's just 1 less number rating on the kick out or submission. So you're going to do that. Generally speaking, you must announce the surge before you roll the dice. So you can't roll the dice, say, oh, I lost, I'm going to use a surge now. It's too late. It's a gamble. It's a risk reward. You can risk it and use it to save yourself, or choose not to use it and lose the match. But it's basically 1 less than that current rating, because remember, on the pin submission, that number, you saw Abyss was 7.5. You saw that Buzz Sawyer was 6. Those pin results are going to go down by 1 each and every time there is a submission attempt or a pin attempt. So it's going to reduce by 1 until it gets down to 0, and you can pretty much get an easy win. All right. So you can use your power surge stars. All right. You can use that in a match if you want to save yourself. And again, that's going to reduce that number down by 1. So let's say, for instance, Buzz Sawyer is a 6 on a pin attempt. He's going to be pinned. He says, I'm going to use the power surge star. All right. He's now still at a 6. Rolls the dice. Oh, good. He kicked out. Well, he used the surge. It's gone. And he still survived on his regular 6 rating. So that happened. But he could get that extra roll if he were to lose. If it were higher than a 6, technically speaking, he gets pinned. But because he used the surge star, he gets one more crack at it, rolls the 10-sided die one more time. On a 1 to 5, he's saved. 6 to 10, it's a pin. So that's another way to use your power surge star. You can always use your power surge too with finishers that can block an opponent does a finisher on that wrestler. They can use the power surge star right when the finisher happens. What that does is that nullifies an additional -2, because when you do a finisher, you're automatically taking 2 points off of your opponent's pin submission rating, and you're going for a pin or submission. So let's say Buzz Sawyer is at a 6. Abyss does the shock treatment. Well, because he did the finisher, now Buzz Sawyer goes from a 6 to a 4. So it's 1 to 4 to save him, because he loses 2 points. Instead of it being 1 to 6, he loses 2, so it's 1 to 4. So Buzz Sawyer's not going to take the chance, so he's going to use the power surge star, so it just nullifies that -2, so it's still 1 to 6. So see how that's a strategic defensive move? He just got a finisher on him, and he's going to use that star to kind of save himself, to brace himself, so that he doesn't sustain as much. He'll still get the 5 stamina points against him, but he won't sustain the punishment of that pin attempt. Now, he can use it offensively as well, because what he could do is he could use, let's say, a Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer does a power slam on Abyss. He can say, okay, we're going to use a surge, power surge, and we're going to take away 5 more points to Abyss's stamina rating. So guess what? In a 10-minute match, his stamina is 8 to begin with. He loses 5 from the natural loss on a finisher, 5 stamina, and an additional 5. The match can be over just like that. And in a real 10-minute match, those things happen. And that's what you see on TV years ago during those quick 10-minute matches when they try to get 6 or 8 TV matches in a 1-hour show. As you do, you have your wrestler go against an average to a jobber. They wrestle for a few minutes. Boom, the favorite does his finisher. 1, 2, 3, match is over. All right, so that's how the power surge works. So it can work as an offensive or defensive move for the wrestlers, and that's where this game really lends itself to being able to play with 2 players. Okay, so let's get to the action here as we do, and I'm going to show you, because the match is kind of done, but we're going to kind of speed things up for the sake of time here a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and lessen it. So you're looking at the match. This is going to be the score sheet. As you know, the stamina is there. Now, what happened in this match is both wrestlers used the power surge. So they reduced themselves by 1, as you can see, 3 to 2, and they added 5. So both wrestlers started with 13 points to start, and that's a lot of points in a 10-minute match. Now, this one in parentheses was because why? Because Abyss gained that 1 rating from his good interview. So he becomes a 14 to start the match. All right. Now we start the match. We roll the dice. Buzz Sawyer gets the control. You roll 2 6-sided dice for both wrestlers. All right. You add the control ratings to both wrestlers. The highest number is the wrestler who gets the action. So before the action even starts, you're going to look at your action charts. Obviously, when you get them, there's going to be a number of charts here. There's 2 to 20 for action charts, and then there's foreign object charts, wrap up stamina buster charts, and go to alternate pinfall charts, outside the ring charts. There's all of this. So you're going to get these, print them out, and you can cut them up so you have them nice and easy in your hand. You can set them on a table. You don't want to leave them clustered like this because they'll be too hard to follow. Or you can do like I do here, is I physically use my computer and I just copy and paste them. So I've got wrestler A, which here is Buzz Sawyer, and then I go to sheet 2, and this is Abyss's. So you're going to roll the dice 3 times for each wrestler, 2 10-sided dice. You're going to go and find that action chart over here, and you're going to lay it out. In this case, Buzz Sawyer laid out 3. He got charts 12, 17, and 13. The order of the charts is based on the dice rolls. Now, if he ends up rolling twice, you roll twice for a wrestler, the same number, or even the same number 3 times, well, he's going to be limited because that's the only charts he can use. So he may use 1 chart, 2 charts, or 3. If he's going to use 3, if he rolls 3 different numbers. If he rolls 2 different numbers, 2 charts, 1 number, that's all. He's stuck with limited usage. That's what makes the game unique from any other game, folks. There are so many moves, so much action, and it's never going to be the same twice because what dictates it? What chart you roll for. These wrestlers can only use the charts that they roll for. So that's why the strategy becomes different. That's why the storylines can change, and the excuses for wins and losses can be dictated before the match even starts, which gives you what? It gives you that impression and that idealism of professional wrestling. Not that it's predetermined, but the actions are limited by what's in front of you. All right? So now you have it. So the charts are laid out. Again, Buzz Sawyer, Abyss. Let's go to the action. So we do. Buzz Sawyer gets it. So he gets it and immediately rolls on one of the charts. I forget what it was. I think it was the 3rd chart. And if we look here for Buzz Sawyer, it was a small package right here. He got chart 3, which was a rating 1 to 3 is the first chart, 4 to 6 you use the second, 7 to 9 the third chart. If you roll a 10, you might get the big wild card chart. And the wild card chart is where you can really get some storylines and action, and that's explained in your rules. All right, I'll show you that in a bit. But anyway, so he rolls a small package of 15. What's that say? Small package, pin, reverse, pin, -1. What does that tell me? That tells me if Buzz Sawyer applies the small package, he's going for a pin attempt right off the bat, 30 seconds in. 7 to 10, 7 to 10, it's reversed. What does that mean? Abyss turns the tide and does the small package on Buzz Sawyer with a pin attempt. Either way, -1, someone's losing a stamina point. Well, in this case, if you look at my score sheet, it's green. Abyss reversed the move. Does a pin attempt. It's a roll of 10. He would have lost the match right away. Buzz Sawyer would have lost the match, but no, he did not. He was worried, concerned, so he goes ahead beforehand and uses a power surge star that left him with 1. He rolls a 5, saves himself, so he's still in the match. Abyss wins the next control, does leg scissors, -1. Again, you're going to look here. Abyss wins the roll on the control. He would have taken his number, added 1 to it for momentum. Every time a wrestler has a successful move, as long as it's in succession, he's going to gain a point for every move. Added to his dice roll. That's the momentum factor I was telling you about. After the leg scissors, he would get 2 plus the extra 1. That's 3 added to whatever the dice roll is. All right? And Buzz Sawyer would just get 2 in his dice roll. But in this case, after the leg scissors, Buzz Sawyer goes on a 5-move effort. Now, in 4-dice wrestling, 4 moves are important because after every 4 moves, if the action on the action move charts does not dictate some type of pin attempt, submission, or anything along those lines, then you can automatically, after 4 moves, go for what would either be a pin or submission attempt based on a move. Like here, it was a simple ram move. -1, no big deal. Not a strong move, but it would have been a pin attempt. Now, Buzz Sawyer could have elected not to go for the pin and just continued to add to the momentum, but hey, why not go for the pin? What happens? Worst case scenario, okay, he kicks out. In this case, it was a 6. So, Abyss kicks out, but it drops his rating down 1. You want your opponent's rating to drop every single time. Get it down low so you can get a dice roll that's going to get you the victory, because it'll be too high for them to counter and get the save. So in this case, it's a 6. Buzz Sawyer won the next one. He gets to go on the reverse chart. What does a reverse chart 1 mean? Well, simply means this. All right. So he rolled on the first chart, reverse opponent chart 1 between dice roll of 4 to 14. Rolled the dice. That means he got to roll again, but this time he got to roll, Buzz Sawyer, on Abyss's charts. One of Abyss's charts. Hence, giving you an opportunity for wrestlers to gain more moves and have a more variety of moves in a match. Well, it helped Buzz Sawyer because he got a leg sweep takedown of -2 on Abyss. The next move wasn't good because Abyss regained control and did an elbow smash to the back of the neck. And then after that, gets the spinning toe hold, which is a submission move, -2 on the stamina. Submission move was a 6. But obviously Buzz Sawyer's numbers was already down to a 4. So he had to try to save himself, so he used one of his power surge stars, and instead of a 4 to save him, he rolled a 5, and the match was over. So that's how it looked. So in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Abyss beats Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer with the spinning toe hold. This is at least my first attempt at giving you a sense of how 4-dice wrestling is. The match itself took about 8 to 10 minutes to run. It would take you probably 5 once you get in the act of playing. It's not a hard game. It's very, very simple to learn. It's pretty clean cut once you get going. And again, the key to 4-dice wrestling, this is a growing game, a continuous game that's going to grow. You got 100 wrestlers. We're not going to stay stale. We're going to continue offering more and more wrestlers, bringing in fantasy wrestlers, bringing in characters to give you a true up-to-date, modern 4-dice wrestling game that is simple to play and has a great fun factor. So, I hope this instructional video helps. If you have more questions, be sure to leave them and ask. But I wanted to give everyone a sense of what 4-dice wrestling is all about.